Hello, we're live. I look like a fucking gremlin, man. Okay, what's new? Yeah, I just caught. You know when you just like catch a glimpse of yourself and it kind of ruins your day? I had that, but with my recording over here.
You don't look
I
bad.
was like,
you look fine. Shave up your beard, though.
shave off your face.
Yeah, I did. I shaved it off today.
So, I do need to do that. I'm just being a lazy bastard.
Yeah, me too.
So you were talking with Caspac. You had you helped him forge. Vale taught the Deadless tag or it in the UK. Yeah. Do you actually stay here the night? Because I imagine that would take most of the. You arrived there in the night, so actually you would either stay there in the night or leave and travel through the night and rest in the day. So I imagine you stay here the night.
Yeah.
Not that you have anywhere to stay, you probably just tent up outside. But
Yeah, if they have a spare tent. If not, I'd suggest going back to the troll's nest that we were in.
they can get you a spare tent.
Sure, as long as it doesn't smell like dead people.
I'm gonna tell you straight up, it's gonna smell like dead people.
Melody would be in favour of the troll's nest as well.
It's gonna rain though. Could we not just hang it up like a tarp in the troll's nest?
If you can have a tent, you just can't take the tent with you. That's not very nice. It's not very hospitality, is it?
It's not very hospitality.
Yeah. This is Deadless speak.
Do I have a tent? I have a feeling I have a tent.
You and Gil have a tent, so I think Gil has the tent, but you would have it now because Gil isn't with you.
No, I have the tent.
Yeah, so then in which case
nest,
go back to the troll's nest. So instead of staying at the night, you go through the sort of overgrown and abandoned fields, and you go back to the forest a little bit. You go into this little nook that actually looks quite cozy. Sid's probably like, because you've already spent some nights here, and it used to be a troll's nest. So you go back there. Amelia spent hours pacing the wards.
Melody's using Druidcraft to randomly make flowers bloom because she's quite impressed by it.
Yeah, they bloom like white.
Another random little things like without the vegetation and such like.
She's just doing her thing. And you sleep for the night. Again, there is stuff in the night. There are things that go bump in the night. But they don't bother you with the wars and alarms and all that sort of thing.
Were they Vale and Amelia?
I feel like that would at least need a discussion. So, no.
Vale's in his tent.
Yeah. You guys are just on the floor.
Getting
I
wet.
wouldn't be surprised if Amelia at one point gets a tent. Because
Probably.
she doesn't seem like the sort to sleep on the floor. But
Does it look like one of those rains that's going to be like multi-day?
well, considering Melody tells you 24 hours in advance, and it would still be raining this time tomorrow.
That assumes that Sid knows what Druidcraft is and what Melody did because she didn't explain
He's
it.
wicked smart.
Okay.
Wicked smart.
So yeah, it's gonna be a long rain.
Okay, never mind. I changed your sword's not +1. Instead, I have a cap of water breathing, and I have no problem sleeping out in the rain. Like, oh, this is nice.
It's like water fills his mouth. He's fine with it. It's very interesting to watch. At one point, one of those water skidding bugs is like in his mouth.
Yeah, just like skidding about, yeah. He breathes fine, but obviously, like, if you're looking through a thermal camera, you're like watching this guy breathing fine as his core temperature drops and drops and drops.
Very. So, yeah, you wake up. You probably wake up earlier than expecting because it's a heavy rain. Now, this nest, the reason why a troll had it here is it's all kind of a little bit protected. Yeah, water's coming in here, but you're not in the full brunt of the rain. You're just having, like, water drip down from things. And so water does get everywhere, but you're not in the heavy rain outside, which is good. You don't want to be in heavy rain. And then I imagine, if there's nothing else, you get up and you start heading a course to Cockbeard's Hold.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you immediately don't have a road, so one of you is going to need to start of like work out the way, which will be a survival roll.
Sufferhead person who can do decently with survival.
Hey, I'm just saying.
My broken records.
But it was a good roll. So
I was going to say it would be unrealistic anyway, because Melody would have no idea where Cobblebeard's hold is.
no,
Well,
but for this case, it'd be more like, Melody, find us a road.
I suppose the other thing is that if there was a map in the room where the
And you remember the map because
I
you're
have, like,
weird
a perfect
smart.
memory for maps, so I could actually do it, yeah. But
So,
apparently
yeah,
Sid is going to take the lead.
Oh, I
I
thought
know
you
the
did
Dwarven
that.
lands because of
Yeah.
trading with them.
Yeah,
So
so
maybe you would probably like go to take the lead, and then Sid would be like, no.
and he starts walking off quite
I don't
happily.
know much, but I know the Dwarven lands.
So you start heading forward. Eventually, you do find a road, fairly well-ish maintained-ish.
That's not convincing.
No. At least it is a cobblestone road instead of dirt, but again, it's not the best. Though as the further you get along it, the more and more it's actually proper road. You pass, literally, like, mining towns that should belong to Lichvale, long abandoned, through the first night. Like, that's basically what you see. Instead of being, like, farming villages that are satellite Lichvale, you see abandoned mining villages. Mostly in this one sort of large hillside, cliffside sort of thing. As you continue the next day, you see more of the same but more scattered, and these ones aren't quite as abandoned. In fact, the last one you see isn't abandoned. You actually see caravans. They're being loaded up with ore by dwarves. I don't know if you stop. It's not the kind of thing where you wouldn't be here at the night anyway. You could probably stop and find a place to shelter, but it's not got an inn because it's an abandoned town that the dwarves are sort of squatting in and rebuilding a little bit. But I don't know. Do you care?
Find
Do you just walk
a
past?
townhouse to squat in?
I mean, you can just keep going and camp. It's up to you.
Well, if it's wet, can we find an empty townhouse to squat in?
Yeah. I mean, but you'll be the dwarves will want to talk to you walking up into the town. If that's okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys walk up wet and
Gonna have to
sad.
talk to him at some point.
You guys walk up wet and sad. It's like, hold up. Who are you?
We're travelers on our way to Copperbeard's hold. We're hoping to stay somewhere dry for the night.
Persuasion roll. And it's more to be like harmless and friendly than anything else, which is something Vale isn't actually that good at.
Oh no.
I'm really
He
good
looks
that.
at you.
Melody is not
He looks at your sword, then your other sword, and then your other sword. Yes, of course. Travelers who are trying to get away from the night. It's no, you're definitely not thieves trying to get into our mine for our precious ore now, aren't you? Oh.
Oh yes, because we have the means to carry that ore away, don't we? Without our carts, with one horse, we won't exactly get much worth out of that.
You'd be surprised what desperate people would pay. No rooms at this inn.
I'm gonna step forward in front of him and be like, listen, and I'm gonna give like a typical dwarven like warm greeting. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say, never mind. Never mind him. He is in fact a duelist. He's somebody that literally makes money fighting. That's what he does. That's how he gets by and survives. I personally work for him as the one that maintains the steel of his swords. I'm an old frail man, and I would like a nice warm night by the fire. I would gladly exchange both the coin that is appropriate and a honing stone for you to do so. I promise that I am not here for anything bad. I do have advantage for seeming non-threatening.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. I was gonna say. Yeah, you do that, and he like looks over. He's like, "Your elf sleeps outside." Within
I'm
view
fine
of
with
the
that.
dogs.
Like, push by.
And lead you towards one of the abandoned townhouses, and he literally does like get a tinderbox out of his bag and lights the sort of semi-abandoned fireplace. It actually had fresh-ish wood, so maybe they've done this or were planning to do this. That you can sleep here. Don't worry about gold. No one's gonna need it here. You're traveling to Copperbeard's, yes?
Yes, we are. I said, looking to
trading?
for confirmation.
We bring news from Lichvale. We're offering on behalf of the Lady Builder.
Okay. And he kind of like was maybe expecting more, but turns to leave.
Did you need me to hone that blade, or are you fine with that as well?
Yeah, might as well. Something to do while you're warming up, and kind of like hands a sword to you.
Sure, I'll take it.
You definitely notice that it's not the typical mountain dwarf sword. They've got very like squared off swords. It's kind of more of a standard make. He kind of nods and leaves.
It's only one night. Do I have any extra time to modify it? Not magically, but modify it in any way that would make it feel more dwarven for him? Again, I have supplies, but...
You spend a night doing a little bit of magical mumbo jumbo, a little bit of sharpening, a little bit of everything. Maybe like add some weight secretly to the hilt. All these kind of things you can do. So you give it back to him in the morning. It's like, this is good. It'd be better if your magic could have made it stop raining, but. And then
once it got dark, Vale went inside.
He didn't notice, and the other doors didn't notice. They were asleep because they worked really hard.
Vale, you're breaking the rules.
Oh, said.
It's just funny to point out. He does it all the time.
Vale's clearly quite grumpy at his
Dripping.
interaction with the door.
A wet cat! You're a wet cat!
So, the next day, he takes it back. He's like, if you, pleasure travel to the, have a pleasurous travel to the halls. And like, so with the rest of the dwarves, they get on the caravan. It's like just open topped and full of ore. And it goes off, where it needs to go. I mean, up the road that you're going on. They're just going faster. Like, a lot faster. Well, not that fast because it's a full caravan. You know what I mean. And you can keep traveling. It is still raining. It is several days of non-stop rain, and it probably does slow everything down. At this point, you are no longer in anything close to civilized lands. You're in a little bit of a no man's land, but you can already tell, was it rumors or someone who told you, was like, oh yeah, the dwarves may be pushing their territory a little bit. That was it. Whether they're officially doing it or not. You keep traveling, you can camp. Yeah, camping in the rain sucks. Amelia, what?
Just so we are aware that this is a thing that happens every day, I would offer to do Melody's hair in the morning.
Melody would accept
Just
and
like
would
comb
be
it out.
trying her best to learn as well from Amelia. Probably not very
So
successfully.
I kind of like show her how to do it, how to work through the tangles and whatnot.
Good.
Prestidigitation.
Yeah, she can't do that bit.
She can't do that part.
So you keep traveling. It's mostly just wildlands. It's plains, and then it's starting to fade from. I mean, you leave the grey grasses of Lichvale, and you go into green grass. Green grass. Now it's to sort of orangish, wilted grasses. Actually, no, everything's damp and sodden, which means actually the grasses here in the Dwarven lands are getting green because you've already. Most of you have traveled through the Dwarven lands at some point. Actually, no, just Vale and Sid have. That you know, the Dwarven lands isn't very green. It's quite dry and not that hot. It's just very dry. But this rain, blooming. Everything's blooming in the rain. And pretty good. What?
I just said for like a minute. I was talking to myself mostly.
Oh, yeah. So, it's something to notice. But more or less, you follow the road. You don't have anything much to really worry about. You get into the territory of Copperbeard's Hold, and it's very much not like a human thing where, okay, I'm in the territory of Northerdon. Here's a town showing Northerdon's flag. I'm in the territory of Lichvale. Oh, there's an abandoned town. No. Copperbeard's Hold is a dwarven place. It's a little different than that. You do notice farms. The farms look like they're flooded. There is a river, like a really wide river, and it's flooded. but all the bridges are designed in such a way that they are planned for the flood, where they kind of like they would rise like just really weirdly if it wasn't flooding. But you're seeing it in the perfect designed situation. They are designed for this flood, so they look like normal bridges. Probably Sid and Amelia are the only ones who acknowledge that this is actually pretty clever design.
Just see that? Oh, you did? Oh.
The angles on that?
Yeah. You know what? I think I'm gonna draw it.
And actually, beside the bridge, as you get there, and you get there on the end of the 6th day of traveling, because you were going pretty slowly, but it's a straight road and a pretty good road. Dwarf roads are straight. If there's a hill in the way, we're gonna pave it. If there's a mountain in the way, we're gonna go through it. They're not gonna waste any time with curved roads. So. There's a tavern on the end, and it's one of the things where it's the end of the day and it's raining, and you go by the tavern and you can see the fire, and you can hear Dwarven laughing, you can hear Dwarven song, and you can smell meat. Oh, you go in, the tavern's called Oskbridge. None of you know the river's called Osk, but maybe Sid can work it out because he's smart. You know that because you're smart. So I imagine you go to this tavern at the end of the day. Am I wrong?
Oh yeah, I have a tavern. Sure, yeah.
Right.
I could go for a pint or a quart or a half gal.
You walk in here and it's warm. There's no rain, and there's just on the wall. There's clearly someone has put up quite quickly some hooks, and all the like coats and cloaks of people are just up there and dripping into they've moved like a trough. So like there's a lot of people coming in from the rain, and it's messy. So you look around this place and it's busy. It's a busy tavern for a long time. Yeah, the Thirst Quencher in Lichvale was busy, but it was small. It was a gnomish tavern, so it felt busy because the people who were there were big and big personalities. This place has a lot of people, a lot of travelers, mostly dwarves, but a healthy amount of humans. And Sid, you probably notice a couple of gnomes too. There are traveling parties who are playing all kinds of games. Like you can already tell. Like there are two people. There's a table playing games. They're playing some kind of card game, and there are two people off the side who have clearly lost, and they're like, ugh, they're cheating. They're all cheating. Oh, they're cheating. By the name of Moradin, they're all cheating. You know, it's all that sort of things going on. You can see people doing sort of deals under the table from the way you go in, but at the same time, with all the seediness, there's well-endowed barmaids rushing around with all sort of meat and ale, everything that you could need. You guys go in from the wet and the rain, and they're like, oh, hang up your wet clothes. No one's gonna steal anything. We'll take your coin purses from them anyway, and you need something warm to eat? We can get you something real quick. We got a good stew going.
What clothes? I turn to Amelia. Please?
Of course. That's a digitation on all of us.
Someone near the door, just like, oh laddie fucking da. Got some mages in. Don't tell Goldport. And people were like, oh.
Melody at this point has actually...
My order for Xanathar's been dispatched.
Yeah,
I
I
just told
just
me
saw
now.
that as well.
Oh, what have that? Maybe I've got that as well.
Sorry. Exciting.
Melody at this point is slightly seems to have slightly shrunk in on herself. She's actually tried to hide a little bit behind Amelia, which probably doesn't work because Amelia's like probably much
she's
smaller,
huge.
But, yeah.
Great. Imagine you buy rooms for the night here. They absolutely have enough rooms. It's one of the things where it's like, oh, do you want a room upstairs like a human or downstairs like a dwarf? And that sort of thing. The quality of stuff here isn't great. Altogether, it'll be 2 silver for your stay, but you know you'll get warm food and a place to sleep.
Indeed.
Out of the rain. And this is the kind of place where maybe if you came here when it wasn't so busy, if you came here in advance, you might be able to get a nice room, but they probably only have like 4, right? So 2 silver each for that.
I'll pay for Melody.
Good, because you're now Gilwyn today. So they hand you food, or you sit down with food at a table. But it's the kind of thing where No, there's only 4 of you. You just sit at a table. For some reason, I thought there were 6 of you. I don't know. Whatever. You get given bowls of stew in nice dwarven stone mugs. And it's a meat stew. Probably lamb. A lot of mushroom in it. You know what? You're not going to complain. It's warm. It's food. It's palatable. Melody probably loves it.
Well, Melody would love it if she wasn't too busy looking a bit pale and uncomfortable in the surroundings.
Being
it's a busy
anxious.
tavern.
Yeah, well, understandably. And where you would usually go to get away from the busy tavern is the outside, which is raining. So, anything you need to do in the tavern, or are you just going to sleep and eat?
I mean, there's nothing specific that I need to work on. So, yeah.
You know what? I would ask around and start thinking about where. I heard once upon a time dwarves used to have peace talks in this town. Where would they have those?
Go ahead and give me
inquiring about those.
Straight persuasion. I did it twice. Persuasion roll for talking around the place.
I am just kind of gathering information about the area itself. So whatever I can get.
People aren't that willing to talk to you.
Yeah.
You stand out a lot. They will talk to you in a polite enough way because dwarves, despite being gruff, they're polite. They will talk to you. They will say hello. They will maybe introduce themselves if you don't ask. But they're not gonna really give you any information. It's like, oh, you don't know the history.
Gotcha.
Yeah, can you tell me the history? It's like, you should read a book. Like that kind of thing. Just sort of very passive aggressive. Dwarves, you wouldn't think it, but they are. Vale, while she's off doing this, one of the person from the table playing cards is like, hey, elf, you got keen eyes?
What?
Have you got keen eyes?
Yes, I suppose so.
I think Bolfer over there is cheating. Can you take a look at his sleeves while he's playing the game?
Very well, but you better pay up.
I'll buy you an ale. I'll buy you 2 ales.
I suppose that will do.
Aye. Give me a perception check.
Woo? 2
That one's in a
91s
row.
You think he is cheating. And a lot. You don't understand this game. The cards are really pretty, and you don't understand what they're doing, and there's
got this
people
beautiful
on them.
golden elf.
And
Got beautiful half elf with
you didn't...
whitish hair and an eye patch.
And
What
there's
are these
a woman
cards?
with red hair.
Yeah, okay, you get it. It's the game. But you don't get it, so you don't really know how they would cheat. But the things he's doing and the way the other people are reacting, and you swear you see him go through his pocket and his bag, and maybe there's something under his mug. It's just you're sure he's cheating. He's got to be cheating.
I think he's cheating. I think you're right.
All right, cheating. That's a smiting. Get over here, both of you bastard! Smashes the table. There's just this brawl starts over there, which if Melody was just starting to get comfortable, this brawl going on in the next table. It's this guy hammering her down, and you see there's actually flashes of gold, whwa, whwa. He's not joking. He's smiting. I imagine Vale steps back and probably doesn't get that ale.
Oh no! There's got to be some ales on the table.
You just go
as he raises his hammer to hit the table. It's and back away. And go and take a seat back at our
service
table.
is rendered, right? But between that, I mean, that's the only thing you really wanted to do. So you probably just okay, we've been traveling forever. Bed, please, bed.
Bed, please.
And you get in bed. These are dwarven rooms. They're really tight, and there's a blanket, but there's no mattress. It's just stone. And Vale does not fit on the bed. He barely fits in the room laying down. But you know what? You're not gonna complain. You're not being rained on. And that tent, you've been using it for a while. It's getting some holes. It's meant to be waterproof, but it's not anymore. And you're too stubborn to tell Sid to fix it.
When Amelia came back from trying to get information and didn't really succeed, I would like to actually try to like lend a little assistance, like when she seems like grumpy about it. Be like, nobody's really talking, are they? You know, usually the way into a dwarf's heart is either a good drink or a better song or the best story.
If only we had someone who was good at telling stories and singing songs.
Funny thing here is I actually know dwarven history better than you might think. I'm pretty sure I could come up with something to help you out. Would you be willing to read a tale and see if that would catch their ear?
I'd rather not.
It's an ode.
I'm not particularly great at that.
But I can certainly lend you assistance with it. I promise you, I'm good at these things.
Maybe Vale can do it.
Vale is looks. Oh nope, he just started a bar fight. Never mind, not Vale.
Vale comes back with the 2 ales, plunks them down. Success.
See?
We could have Melody do it, but
Melody?
I don't think she can read.
Well,
Melody shakes her head.
She knows she
Sure,
can't. She doesn't care.
Melody has a good memory. If you tell her what to say, she could have a go. You've been watching Gil for a long time. You seem to have mastered some of his tricks.
Melody, I don't know how much attention they're paying, but Melody is like visibly pale and uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
like she
She's
would
been
be
like hiding behind the Melia
Yeah.
still. Aw.
So the Melody sort of looks at Vale's suggestion. It is clearly uncomfortable, but she does look at Sid as if he's going to ask her.
Well, Sid, I guess it's up to you.
I'm not the one that needs to procure the information. Listen, I'm lending you aid. If you don't want it, meh.
You do it, Vale.
I don't want help from Sid. I'll do it myself.
Says the man who pays me to help him all the time.
Yes.
He says as like
says,
Vale walks away.
says the elf that said that to the
You get
gnome.
nothing, Vale. You get nothing.
You just said my race is dying out.
It's
If
like-
you keep saying this, I will become depressed and I will die out as well. That is how my people work.
Oh,
That
that's
is
just
a-
depressing.
Yes, it is. Right. Now, I believe my friend over there is done smiting the other dwarf. Perhaps he will be helpful. He seems like a good fellow, clearly honorable. I will go and ask him a question, and I will take him one of these ales. I'll walk over with an ale and hand it and say, "Good job, my friend."
Oh. You don't cheat.
Want that assistance?
I don't understand this gnomish game, but you don't cheat. Not in my
No.
presence. Not in the presence of the All-Father.
Exactly. And in the presence of the All-Father, I had a couple of questions for an honorable dwarf such as yourself. It appears to me that you may have some knowledge of the history of Copperbeard's Holds. I was wondering, I'd heard it had been the place of grand peace talks between the two halves of your people, and I was interested to hear more. Perhaps I could buy you another drink and you could tell me about it.
Give me a persuasion roll.
Gonna roll another name one. I got the curse
Three in a
of
row.
Rick. I got the curse of Rick.
He kind of looks at you and sort of like pats his hammer on your chest, getting blood on it. It's like, you've done all you've needed to do for me and the Old Father today. Walks away.
All right. Looks like it's Sally's turn to, well, have some fun here. God, you guys are just absolutely terrible at doing these things, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to cast a spell on what is it, like what are the items that I'm wearing to try to like have it like embolster me, so like when I tell a story it comes off far better. So more or less I'm going to tell a story, like I have a really good history, but I'm going to roll a performance with advantage to tell this story of dwarven history or whatever, to kind of like warm them up to their own like favorite stories, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you want me to roll a history too, or just do the performance?
Do both. Yeah.
All right, so the history won't be with advantage.
No.
That'll be normal. Okay.
It's still
And then
great.
advantage on the performance. So I accurately recall, and very well
Yeah,
performed.
you get the attention of many people in the bar. Not everyone, but like people who weren't doing much. Many, in a similar way to when like Gilwyn gets up, some people are very intrigued. You just start telling this story, and I mean, it's really up to you what the story's about in broad strokes. But you know, it's about dwarves. It's about their history. And dwarves love hearing about dwarves.
So, Erin was specifically going around, and or what's her name? Amelia was asking questions about.
We were vaguely told that this area had been used for peace talks in the past. I was trying to figure out more about that and where they
Okay,
would
cool.
have been held.
So, history about a great conflict and how it's been overcome. It probably wasn't related to this area, otherwise I probably could have just answered her question. About a huge conflict that was overcome by Dwarven's use of words and whatnot. I feel like whatever.
Yep.
To kind of like get their juices flowing.
Yep, you enrapture people. People are pretty interested. They're down for the conversation, honestly.
Okay. So after I get like that, done telling this great story, and because I'm short, I'll stand on a table or wherever's appropriate.
It's
bar,
okay
maybe.
in a dwarven bar.
Yeah, for me to,
You're not
to
gonna
tell
get
the
kicked
story.
out for that.
And after it's done, and doing the whole like, oh, let's talk and stuff, and like, oh god, I imagine tonight's probably the first night you really see Sid drunk because he has to because nobody else is being useful. So he's like, I guess I gotta play the part. and
You get some beers bought for you, that's for sure.
over by you guys, so I can more or less lead it into her getting a chance to re-roll. That's really the whole point, was to get her to re-roll to get information.
Right.
Yeah, you bring like the group of people over with like a couple of ales and some shots of dwarven whiskey and all that stuff that you're meant to drink. Like,
Now, because she's re-rolling, can I roll my history check to give her that advantage on her next skill check?
no,
Or
she can have advantage anyway because you warmed them up to you and they like you.
Ain't another.
Yeah, basically, right?
She rolls double natty ones.
I know, right?
Oh, double eights!
Double natty eights.
Oh my god!
They don't care about you.
looks like-
That
Yeah.
totals, that's 99 right there. That's a good roll.
They don't care. They are not interested in Amelia. Like, straight up, one of them says, like, sorry, lass.
No worries.
I'm talking to this little gentleman here. Like,
Talk away.
they are just with him instead. Sorry. As much as you try, all that happens is that Sid gets really, really drunk.
One of the things you guys would notice, because Sid is more loose-lipped with him being intoxicated, is he actually talks about like his times in the Dwarven lands before, and like his time like traveling through like some of the greatest Dwarven cities, being a guest inside like a Dwarven palace. Or like the important tunnels and stuff, and like you'd hear him talk about these things, not with like extreme detail, but it's one of those like it would be noteworthy that has happened. So,
Yeah.
and he's been to Dwarven lands many times before.
Great.
But go ahead, I'm sorry.
So, yeah, no, I'm just assuming that just goes on for the night. The rest of you probably go to sleep before Sid.
Yeah, I imagine like after that didn't work out quite well, I would probably help Melody like go to her rooms.
Yeah.
I mean, you
She's
just
super
go to bed.
uncomfortable.
Sid stays up for a while talking to these dwarves. Then eventually
Vale?
drones off to bed.
Cheers, mate.
Vale grumbles and heads off to bed.
Oh, fuck.
Aw.
So when you come back down, you guys feel good. It's still raining, but it's actually not as heavy. And considering you can see the city from here, not the worst thing. And it's a dwarven city. You're fairly sure you can get out of the rain when you get inside it, right? But Sid, Constitution roll. Save. You got it, right? It's D&D.
He's
You
gonna roll.
are hungover. You are very hungover. You yeah.
All right. I'm gonna try something new. Does anybody have a stick? They break a chair last night. I say to like the nearest person, whether they be a friend or not.
Melody probably has a stick. Melody
Sorry,
had a
what-
stick
what
last
was-
time.
Yeah. Well, sorry,
Well,
but
yeah.
you said
Let's
something
imagine-
after the stick.
I only heard the
It's
stick
like disappearing and coming back with the stick in her mouth. Not stick.
Ruh-roh. So does Melly just like give me a random twig? Like
Yeah.
not from her hair though, which is nice.
It's not from my hair anymore. It's probably the bag that's probably been cleaned up a bit. But there's probably still a few twigs in there somewhere.
I'm gonna need a little bit. It's gonna be difficult. I use one of my new abilities, and I have to make an Arcana roll, which sucks. Because I have to. It's whenever you make an intelligence. Nope. Yep. Okay. Don't suck, Scott. Oh, it's a second level spell too. DC is 16, so I failed by 4 or less. So I make the spell, but I have to roll a d6.
Alright, so you're fine.
I rolled a 1. Ha!
Nothing happens.
So I create a wand, and I'm like, this will solve all my problems. Ah!
Honestly, I thought you were going to stick the stick down your throat.
I thought you were gonna beat yourself with it.
It's like, and literally, I spent an hour getting together all these things, and like kind of cramping, moving along to do it. It just fail. Fail.
Whoops.
Oh.
Melody just pats him on the back sympathetically.
Oh, that wasn't a good hiccup. You know it wasn't.
Wait, that tasted like Anders' flask.
Let's see whether some fresh air and the rain helps you out. It might make you feel a little bit fresher.
Sure. I'm willing to travel.
Yeah. So, if there's no other issue, you can travel to Copperbeard's Hold. Now, from this town on the bridge, it's there. You just have to walk up to the gates. It is, don't imagine the Crimson Mountain, huge dwarven city inset into mountain. This is kind of in the plains. It's kind of probably up on a bit of a hill, but it has like walls. You notice actually on the other side of the town, you can see this colossus. This grand statue made of bronze or brass. It's very hard to tell when it's such a grand scale, but it's beat up to fuck. It's old and weathered, and you can see the frame under it at most point. And the statue is of a dwarf, just like sort of holding a great axe sort of into the ground. But it's really injured, and the axe head is no longer on the axe. It's just a pole. Like it's old and injured, but it's on the other side. But it's so big you can still see it from here. No issue at all. So you make it a Copperbeard's Hold. You walk up. There's the road. This road, perfectly maintained. And it's actually got, like, a sign in Dwarven that's like a welcome to Copperbeard's Hold kind of thing. There are groups of mostly human workers who are sort of preparing things outside. Probably something to do with farming and the flood into the farming lands at the moment. But, you know, you probably don't really care. You just get up to the doors. You get up to the doors, and some people are the main gates, and they're good, proper gates. They've got a full portcullis, all that kind of thing. Usually, you'd be stopped, and you see some people just aren't stopped. You are by guards. The guards are wearing sort of light, heavy bronze, like proper, like, if not plate mail, at least half plate, like big pauldrons. They have the symbol of Copperbeard's Hold, which is a very sort of stereotypical dwarven beard. There's a lot of, when dwarves build things, they decorate it, but in a very sort of blocky way. So there's sort of like almost pixel art-esque, blocky totems of dwarves that are probably old heroes, maybe gods. You guys don't really know. Sid's probably been told, but right now you can't think about it. But you're stopped by a couple of the guards, and it's like, hold. Friends, what is your business in Copperbeard's Hold? And where are you hailing from?
We hail from Lichvale. We are here on Oars the Lady Builder. We are looking for an area to hold peaceful negotiations with her in a neighboring city.
Okay.
Village.
For
Town.
that, You're going to
Catmint.
report to the law keepers on one of the. You kind of look at someone else, and it's like seventh hall of the palace. And when they cement that you're here for legal reasons, you'll be free to travel the city as possible, and they'll be able to help you with your problem.
Thank you.
And it's not like they escort you; they just kind of leave you. It's more like, yeah, you can travel, but if you don't get permission and they find out, well, maybe they don't kill you, but you definitely don't have a nice time. Godbeer's Hold is kind of like nice. It's more like Northunden's dwarven architecture. There's a lot more of it as above ground. If what is it all has this sort of bronze-ish color, and all the things are painted with orange or made with an orangish stone, but not so much that everything is kind of hurts the eyes, you know. That's the cultural color of this city. So they embrace it in a very proud and mighty way. There are a couple of towers, but it's definitely one of the things where some of the city is downwards, some of the city is upwards. In the middle is the palace, which you can tell already just from looking at it is both up and down. And you can head there without much problem. There's there's guard force in the city. There's a little bit of everyone. Sort of a generic city, but you know, a dwarven one, if that makes sense. I imagine you do as you were told, and you head to the palace for the lawmasters or lawkeepers. Good, well behaved. So you go. I imagine they actually look at you and like, foreign diplomats.
Yep.
Oh. Okay. And one of them gets up from wherever they would just be like standing in this hall with beautiful engravings in the floor and all that sort of thing, and they'd start taking you below ground to a hall of very dimly lit hall of bookcases. But don't imagine like a grand library with things. No, it's dwarves. They're not going to climb up ladders for books. The bookcases just go on for a while, and there's actually maps.
I work for knowledge,
right? And the dwarves who are working down here are old. They're old. They have long beards. Most of them aren't very intricately braided. They're wearing robes. The people that are young are clearly young scribes who are training or something, but they're old and old and old. And you go up and probably say, we're from Lichvale, and they check. They actually ask you questions how Lichvale is doing, and they kind of judge you a little bit. But I'm not going to make you do all the things. You satisfy them to the amount that.
Can we have Sid answer the questions? Because he will give them. He'll give them excruciating detail.
Well, that's a good thing, right? I imagine Amelia answers and Sid adds. But then after that's done, it's like, why are you here for negotiations on behalf of Lichvale? Do they call for aid in battle? Is this trade deals, cultural, religious?
We call for aid, but not for battle. We need a neutral ground from which to hold negotiations between two parties.
Peace talks then. Take this slab up to with you. He kind of like looks to one of the others, and the other's like, yes, this could be serious. And take it to the Dwarf Lord. Take it to Copperbeard. He'll, if it's Lichvale himself from the leaders of Lichvale, yes, that would, he would want to know. He would want to know.
Thank you.
And they actually like they gave it to you, and then they come back and they like they brand it with a thing. It's clearly like, see for the king. It's all Dwarven. You don't understand it. Sid could see enough of it in passing. But he's much better at seeing Dwarven in written anyway than engraved. So that's good enough. Now finding the Dwarf Lord took a little bit of time. Imagine you ask around and people are like, why are you going? You're like,
Yeah.
But it's not the kind of thing where you're not allowed. You absolutely are allowed. So you head through this place. You go further down. you go further down into the depths of the city. And you go to meet Copperbeard. You enter a throne room kind of thing, but it's much more casual than a throne room. There are 2 chairs, and they are one of them slightly taller than the other one. In the one that's slightly taller, there is a dwarven woman, noble woman, very well dressed, lots of jewelry. The jewelry has gems of exquisite quality. And in the other one is a man, a chubby. He's beyond chubby. He's a rather large dwarven man with a ginger beard, red nose. He's got a crown, but it's a dwarven crown, so it's kind of blocky, and it does have a couple of gemstones in, but actually not that many. Most of the gemstones are in his clothing. His clothing, he actually has the pauldrons of armor and some arms on him, and he's like actually laughing to the woman, and you immediately can tell from the way that he's laughing, and she's trying not to laugh, that she is his wife. There are guards in the room, but it's very casual. And you Sid actually know, but in smaller dwarven communities, seeing the dwarf lord on these kind of matters is not that weird. It's the kind of thing that a good dwarf lord does see to these things, especially allies. Like, you probably have met dwarf lords before. Like, oh, we're going to do a trade deal to get resources from this place. See the dwarf lord. Because he can then go, okay, now you need to see this, and this person, and they will do what they say because I'm in charge, right? It's a much more practical way than, oh, you want to go and get resources? Well, go see the person in charge of the mine. No, see the king, then the king makes the person in charge of the mine do what you want to do. It makes much more sense in dwarven culture. So you would go in and they're laughing, and he does notice you, but doesn't say anything immediately. He just kind of like sits up a little more properly in his chair, but he's always like a little overly comfy. Give me a history roll.
Because if he's old enough, or
he's old enough. He's an old dwarf, not old, but he's
not necessarily a lord back then. Yeah.
You know of him. You've probably met him in passing. He is Copperbeard. You know that his son is actually now in charge of the Crimson Mountain. But this is straight up. This is Copperbeard. I believe his name is Rylock Copperbeard, but it's Copperbeard. It's a dwarven thing. You're going to refer to him by his last name. But you know, he was so influential in the last war. It actually just clicks back to you. He's so influential in the last war, helping, when peace talks didn't work, helping the other side win. His son is now in charge of the biggest city in the Dwarven lands. Which is probably a pretty proud dad, which is why he's nice and chubby. But yeah, you guys
we would just probably wait to be addressed.
Yeah.
You give the slab of, like, an esquire will go up to you, but they're wearing a similar thing to the sort of lawkeepers down there, and it is also an older dwarf, but it's more fancy sort of stuff, and looks at thick spectacles, and then goes up to the king and says some things in Dwarvish, and he nods and's like, oh, Lichvale! I knew it was being rebuilt, but I didn't know they were going to be sending diplomats of all colours and all faces. A gnome, a half-elf, a human, and an elf. It's very, you know what? It's inclusive. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were from Northern. I've no problem from it, no problem at all. I'm just, it warms my bones to see people getting along like this. You know, in my youth, this wouldn't be happening.
We're more of outside contractors.
Oh, well, I'm not surprised. So what is it that you want? Peace talks? Arranging peace talks in Lichvale?
Yes. They're currently having a disagreement between part of their populace and the city proper, and we need somewhere where they can meet and discuss terms.
Says here you have letters for me?
Of course. And first you would hand them the more legit one from Lichvale.
Lichvale really needs to get a new coat of arms. They're not going to be under the gold port anymore. They need to just go out and say it and get a flag. But then what would you do with a name like that? No, I don't know. Grey flag? White flag? I've heard of this! The dead rising. I'll be honest, it troubles me a little bit. But this note says that they're good people at heart. Is this true?
Yes, we've met with them, and our visits were quite pleasant.
The vast majority seem to be good people, yes.
I've actually fondled one's heart, and he was a pretty good guy.
I think that's the same opinion of most people, you know. I don't think any
Honestly,
race is necessarily all bad, unless you're a
Given their
orc.
circumstances, I feel like they're quite peaceful.
Okay. And,
And she would hand him the second letter.
second letter. He kind of looks at the symbol a bit. Now, you can piece together that a dwarf isn't actually going to find, like, something that grisly offensive, because dwarves often have, like, the lawkeeper has, like, a skull pendant. Like, skulls and bones aren't offensive to dwarves. In dwarven stories, you can't show a nipple, but you can show lots of injuries. And he looks at it and is like,
Show a bone.
you can show a certain type of bone. Ah. Okay. Peace talks for Lichvale. I have halls for this. It'll be interesting to talk to both sides myself. Not that I'll oversee it, but if I'm hosting a peace talk, I'll host a feast of two. In the meantime, I'll have to... You've traveled for a long time. I'll see to it you have room for your before you travel back, and food from the city. And, he kind of talks a little bit in Dwarven to the person beside him. He's like, when can we do this? How long does it take to travel back there? I mean, you could wait. Think they could get here? No. If I send carriages, do you think they could get here by the 14th? That's 2 days away.
It took us 6 days at a slow pace. Perhaps 3 days, if you sent carriages.
That was
Good
with the
idea.
rain, though.
Just in case. 3 days with carriages on the 15th. Good square number. Dwarvish number. Hey. Okay. Write that up. And we'll prepare the hall. Prepare the mead hall. Make sure that our larders are stocked for a feast. And we'll make sure that there's peace between those beasts. And with that, that's the end of the session. You did it good.
Perfect timing. There we
Yeah,
go.
right. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. So,
First time ever.
Alright, let's start. Good session. Golf clap. Let's start our Circle of Shame with... It's a little different this time. With Neil.
That's the same.
I said it's a little different this time. The circle's different, not the immediate result of the circle.
So that's exactly the same.
Alright, you can just fuck off.
I did. You just didn't notice.
Yeah, that's why he's got it so high up right now.
Yeah. He's being a gnome. He's in character.
I
Standing up
am
right now.
Ollie, longtime friend, and we play D&D
I am
together, and we play more D&D together, and then we play D&D on Monday, and now we play D&D on Wednesday as well.
2!
Dude! Kawaii des. Ian's like...
You're doing it wrong!
No, you actually
did
more or
talk
less
about
pronounced
that.
it correctly, so...
I'm pretty good at this shit. Low key, we...
Anything else you need to say, Neil, before I shame you more out of the circle of shame?
Please donate bits so that Vale doesn't fade. Bits for Vale.
You don't want him to fade.
Hashtag bits for Vale.
Alright, next on the circle of shame is Erin. Who are you? Why are you? What do you do?
I'm Erin. I play D&D for the most part. It's it. I play in
That's
Stars Not
why
Numbers. I don't really know what I'm doing so much in that game, but I play. I do that earlier on Wednesdays on Scott's channel, and then I play over here, and then on Fridays I also play on Scott's channel with Ollie as PC. And that's fun.
Good. Circle of shame moves to Ian.
And I made it this entire session without making a single roll.
You rolled once. You rolled a... Oh, no, you didn't. Skid rolled
I
it instead.
didn't.
You went for
I
an
reckon
entire
that's the
D&D session without rolling, and you're happy
Yep.
about it.
It was
Exactly.
almost like I jumped in front of his roll for a reason. First survival roll I've made for that
And
kind
you
of
did a
stuff.
damn good job of it.
That's
That
right.
was a good one,
I got
actually.
your
I
back.
am. I'm also the only person now, apart from Ollie, obviously, who has actually been present at all of the sessions for this stream.
Oh yeah!
It's quite impressive.
You're the good
other
one.
than that, yeah. Other than that, I am just a random mook, a lot like Neil. I know a lot about Jarviskjir and such like. So if you want,
That's why me and Ian like say something and then giggle like
yeah, that's
schoolgirls about it.
basically like the thing
Oh,
about.
Oh, the thing about the merchant. Yeah, they
Yeah.
may have to look into that organization in their other game.
Spoilers.
Hashtag everything's connected.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, if you want to ask me questions, feel free. I actually got asked a couple over Whisper on Twitch this session and didn't reply for about half an hour because I am so unfamiliar with Twitch I didn't notice. But I will notice that in the future.
That's funny. Alright. The shame moves to Scott. Scott, pass a wisdom save or tell us your shame.
I am here to inform you that starting today,
Oh yeah.
Lost Initiative is tonight, going live in less than 3 hours, theoretically. So, you know, Edge of Morality over there, their original time, original day, original slot. But also, starting this week, this Friday, this upcoming Friday, 2 days from now, we are doing our Eberron game for the next couple of weeks a little bit longer than we usually do. So those sessions will run a little bit longer to squeeze
Do you
out
want
a
to
little bit
watch
more
a
story
man
in
be
session.
deprived of sleep live on camera?
Yeah,
You know you do.
yeah. That's. Oh yeah. Speaking of Ollie,
Hey! I'm Ollie. If you're here, this is my D&D show I do. I'm quite proud of it. I'm quite proud of the world. If you do want to know more about the world, you can ask me, but usually I'm like, secrets. But there's all the stuff on the writing on the website. There's also the map command and the D&D command, and there's now a character command, because I finally did that characters command. But I'm also on Scott's show earlier on this, where I play an Asari. I'm on the Friday show, where I do necromancy, and on Tuesdays and Fridays I do art streams, and after the art streams I do I'm now doing RimWorld, so join me. I landed in a swamp and it's terrible, and Scott is already engaged to one of the chat members that is in the
but I'm already
colony.
married. Oh, where's my ring?
You're already engaged. It took like 4 days of landing to get engaged.
That's impressive.
But that's a horrible.
efficient
That's
right
a
there.
horrible train wreck. If you've ever watched me play anything, I make bad decisions, and I've already done several. First of all, landing in a swamp. Anyway, and on Sunday, I start a new game day stream. It's Dragon Age Origins, a game I've played a little bit of, but I remember nothing of, and I never finished it. So I'm excited. I know nothing about it. Help me in chat. Help me decide what kind of character to make. Help me
yeah.
make terrible
City elf.
tutor romance.
Nah.
I think I did a
Gotta
city
be
elf last
City
time.
elf.
Human noble.
Human noble is so
Dwarf.
boring.
Dwarf.
Standard.
I do like the dwarves in
That's
that
what
are actually
dwarf-
really cool.
I might
They are.
dwarf just to mix it up. I'm always an elf.
City elf clearly
So yeah,
gets
that's
all.
me. That's how I do. And also, you can join our Discord. You can also support me on Patreon. I would really appreciate it because of some stuff that's going on. You can give gifts to the party. You can also create an NPC that exists in the world, which is really good. So if you want to, say, make a fangirl for Vale that just follows him all around the world, that is also really attractive, so he can't talk to her to get her to stop, go ahead.
Just to permanently cripple my
Just
charisma
to,
skill.
it's a great idea. So
Make wolf companion for Melody.
make a wolf.
Please,
You could make a wolf companion for Melody. You can do this by only donating amount a month.
I make
can,
an anonymous donation to give Melody a wolf.
mama.
Yeah, I think someone should create an assassin for Sid though.
That's also allowed. You can also make bad guys. That's also allowed.
Totally appropriate.
Anyway,
that actually could work.
it really could. So, with that, thank you for visiting. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, watch me live. It's better. But also, thank you. And that's it. We'll be here next week, I think, with everyone. And we'll see what and why Gilwyn wasn't here.
Indeed.
Hashtag everything's connected.
I'll
Bye-bye.
tell you why. Because he was busy cleaning